Yo, what's up? This is Jason Mraz, and this is Chlorophyll, and you're watching Billboard.com.
When I look into your eyes, it's like watching the night sky.
For most of this album process, it was about taking my time and getting to know who the heck I was now in my new skin, because we're always growing, developing, and unfolding. We're never finite, ever. And as a songwriter, I've tried in the last 2 years to get out of my comfort zone, get out of my house more, let go of certain attachments. That translates in traveling to more dangerous locations and volunteering my time for great causes, to surfing bigger waves or pedaling my bicycle further than I'd ever gone before. That's how then I show up on the page and say, okay, well, here's what I figured out, and here's what I'm processing or dealing with. And throughout the 2 years that I was writing and working on this album, just taking my time, making sure I was breathing, and listening to my heart. And as that heartbeat was very obvious to me, whenever I picked up an instrument, that was often the tempo that the songs were written. So it was more challenging at the end to make sure I had enough variety in the tempo and in the themes for the final 12 songs. The Freedom Song is the first cover song that I've ever put on any of my albums, and it was written by Luke Reno from a band called Luke and the Lovingtons. And he wrote this song in the wake of Hurricane Katrina with kids in Baton Rouge in a shelter. And I heard this song, and I heard the story of this song, and was blown away. And I immediately started performing it. This was about 2 years ago, because I felt the themes and the quality of the song really resonated and was in alignment with other songs that I was performing. It just felt good, and I became good friends with Luke, and we toured around a bunch. And so when it came time to make this album, I just felt like this was a song that that deserves to be heard. And I know through the commercialism of songwriting that I know that in the end this song is going to come back and benefit Luke and the communities in which he wrote this song, and I think that's really important.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these...
Living in the moment, I wanted to create a song that was it was mantras, it was affirmations. I honestly get my best material from yoga classes. At the end of a class, some teacher will tell you something so simple yet so profound, and that sticks with you throughout your day, and it shows up in how you interact with others or just interact with your own tasks. And so this song was kind of this collection of all that I've been learning the last couple of years that I thought might empower a listener if one should choose to sing it.
I'm just gonna love you like the woman I love.
I try to keep my music gender neutral, but this is obvious. It's called The Woman I Love. So I like to dedicate this song to the men in the relationships, because every so often the woman forgets her own greatness. And so it's up to the other half to love that person back into the person we know them to be. So that's basically what this song is about. I Won't Give Up was written selfishly. As many of my songs are, I write for the purpose of understanding what the hell's going on in my life, my position in the world, processing that lesson and that miracle that I'm learning, seeing it on the page, proving to myself that I understand the lesson, that I'm applying it to my life, and that I can move on. So I Won't Give Up isn't, even though it's written through the filter of relationships, it's not necessarily specifically for relationship. To me, the true song, true meaning of the song exists in the bridge, saying I don't want to be someone that walks away so easily. I'm here to stay and make a difference. There's nothing too small worth fighting for, and there's nothing too big worth going after. 5/6 came to me from my friend Michael Natter, who's a brilliant guitar player and songwriter who's been playing this lick in 5/6 for 35 years. He's been playing it as long as I've been alive. But Michael's a good friend of mine, and we've been playing guitar now for a few years, and I noticed that he had a lot of these licks and a lot of great ideas that had never fully come to fruition. So we joined forces and became a songwriting duo, and 5/6 being the first song we wrote together.
When there is love, or when the heart feels heavy, we can lighten it.
Everything is Sound is a song simply about the joy of singing, and how, in my experience in life, or my perspective in life, is about vibrating at a high frequency. And if you look at the world through a microscope, you'll see that everything's vibrating, and it's that vibration which forms mass. And I think it's vibration that is at the core of everything that we do. And so this to me, while it's a big sing-along pop song, it's actually quite a sacred song to me.
93 million miles from the sun, people get ready.
93 million miles from the sun is where we live, and 240,000 miles from the moon, and that's our geographical location within our solar system. Yet no matter where you are, there you are. And no matter where you are on the planet, you can call that home. And I wanted to create a song that acknowledged that home is where the heart is, and that's up to you to decide.
Well, I wish I was a fixer.
Frank the Fixer is my grandfather. Frank Mraz, he called himself Frank the Fixer, and he had a sign over his workshop that said Frank the Fixer. And he fixed farm equipment and appliances, and grew his own food, or would fix farm equipment in exchange for food from that farmer. And I feel we're back in an age celebrating the do-it-yourselfer, where reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, repurpose, all those things are as important now as ever. And it takes the skills to fix things that will keep us from over-consuming to a point where our desires overshadow our needs. And so I wanted to tribute a man like Frank the Fixer, and by doing so, I get to take on his qualities. His strengths become my own.
Who's thinking about you now?
Who's Thinking About You Now is a song that I wrote with Eric Hinojosa, who was a former member of my band. And he's composed these brilliant compositions, and this song existed as an instrumental for a decade. And I got a hold of it, and I asked him if I could put a story to it. And in my opinion, it's also a throwback to the way I used to write when I first started writing, where I wouldn't edit myself. I would just let the stream of consciousness occur, just let it flow, not really striving to reach a chorus or not really following a formula, and just let the story unfold naturally. And Who's Thinking About You Now is that musically and thematically.
So I'll leave it in your hands now.
In Your Hands is perhaps my favorite song that I've written. It uses the least amount of words, but yet it paints the biggest pictures in my mind that I've been able to go to as far as where I like to go in romantics, how I see myself in the world with someone else.
Okay, go hang your heart on.
I wrote Be Honest while I was in Brazil, after spending 10 days down there with phenomenal artists such as Maria Gadu and Milton Nascimento, and watching the way Brazilian musicians approach an instrument. They do so with voicings that are much different than we do here in the United States. So after 10 days down there, I noticed my own style transforming, and wrote this song basically about what was going on in my relationship at the time, which I felt had no importance whatsoever as long as we were honest with each other. And that's basically it. And I had the pleasure of inviting Inara George to come and sing it with me, who I think is fantastic.
The world as I see it is
The world as I see it is a remarkable place, and it's how I choose to see the world. I choose to see myself as part of the whole, that I'm no different than the smallest bird or the biggest mountain, that I'm made up of the same materials as those. And this song title and the song itself was inspired by Albert Einstein's memoirs of the same name, The World as I See It. And he was a very compassionate man who loved this world unconditionally, who opposed politics and policies, and felt that there was enough revealed through science that proved that we were all connected, and that we should all tread responsibly and respectfully on this earth while we're here.
Is a remorse